Hi there, this is Annie Smith, and I'm here today to share with you my super easy way to do English paper piecing, or how to work with hexes and the papers that you use for the pattern in order to make hexie flowers. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am a quilting designer. I usually travel and teach. Now I'm doing Zoom meetings for guilds and for stores. And I'm a Bernina ambassador. I have done online classes for iQuilt, which is affiliated with the American Quilt Society, or the people who do the shows in Paducah, and Annie's Craft Store. And so my online classes can be found online with them. And so let me tell you a little bit about how I got into English paper piecing. So you can see some of the hexie flowers behind me. And so 5 years ago, when my daughter-in-law was going to be in the hospital with her third child, I needed a project to work on because I was going to be at their house for a month taking care of the other siblings and just holding down the fort for everybody while new brother came home. And so I went to the local quilt shop and I found a jelly roll. So 2.5-inch strips of a beautiful selection of fabrics that I just thought, oh, this is going to be really cool. And of course, those are the fabrics that you see behind me. So I want to show you just how easy it is to make little hexagon squares. These are 1-inch hexagon squares by Paper Pieces, who they are out of Paducah, Kentucky, the quilting capital of the universe. And so you can either get a small package like this that has 100 pieces of paper in it, or you can also get a jumbo-sized one that has 1,200 pieces in it. It depends on how large the project is that you're going to be working on. Now, I know right off the bat that I have wanted to make this a king-size quilt for my bed, and so I need to make 143 of these little babies to fit across my bed. So I need 13 rows down and 11 across. I actually have it up on my whiteboard so I don't forget how many it will take to make a king-size bed quilt. But I love doing this project. So I am known for doing precision machine applique and precision piecing and things like that. And but this is all completely by hand, and I love having a hand project because I'm able to take it wherever it is that I go. And I'll show you the little tote that I found that was just the perfect size to carry everything I need for English paper piecing. So the first thing is you need, okay, so like a jelly roll is perfect, but I don't know quite how many hexagons you can get out of a roll of jelly rolls. Okay, so everything that's behind me, and so I have actually 24 of these made. Plus, let me show you the little boxes that I have. I found these at the Container Store. I also found them in a local grocery store. So these are just called Sistema boxes, and these are little lunch boxes where you can put a sandwich and you can put, raw vegetables and crackers and cheese and fruit and stuff like that. And so this is how I have all of my hexes made and ready to stitch. And so that's one. And then here is the lighter set of my hexes. And see, I have them all organized by fabric and color so that I can just pick out the pieces that I want and stitch them if I'm traveling in a car or on a plane or on a train or wherever. And then these are the center hexes that I have, because now this center hexie was not a part of the original jelly roll, but I just wanted something that would be the constant, kind of like a red square in a log cabin. And so I just wanted something that would be the same throughout the entire quilt. And so this little compartment here, I'm going to show you how all of the separate pieces that I use and have to carry with me in order to do the hexies fit in there, and so I can take the whole thing with me. So I have a variety of threads, and I match the thread colors to the fabric colors. And then I have some thread conditioner called Thread Magic. I always use a thimble because I do poke my fingers with the needle. You need a size 11 in between needle. And then I love this little needle threader because I'm older and my eyes don't see to be able to thread a needle quite like they used to. And so this thing is super cool. This is made by Clover. And so you put the needle in the little needle slot, and then I'm going to get some thread because I'm going to show you how I baste. Basting is the kind of thing that keeps everything together. And okay. And so also you need a little pair of scissors. These are my favorite scissors. These are Elan scissors, and they are only carried by United Notions. And I carry them in my online store. But so what you do is you put the thread over this slot right here, and then you push the plunger and pull it out, and oh my goodness, there's a little loop, and it will allow you to thread your needle all the time. And so it's really super cool. And then I just run my thread through the needle threader, and then that way it doesn't knot while I'm stitching. And then I put a little knot in the end of my thread. Okay, and then I'll set that aside. And then, so here's the deal. I like to thread baste all of my hexies because, well, you could do it with a glue stick, but a glue stick adheres to the paper, and then when you go to take your little papers out, then you have all this kind of torn away paper. And this way, when you take the hexie out, there's no torn paper, and you can reuse it again and again and again. These things have a really, really long life. Even if they get bent just a little bit, they're really super cool. And so I want to say hi because I see some friends who are watching, and it's good to see you. And so, okay, so here is my 2.5-inch strip from a jelly roll. You can tell that it was from a jelly roll because it has a jagged edge to it. But I also had to get yardage for my center hexie. And so I just went ahead and cut this in a 2.5-inch square, so that, or 2.5-inch strip, so that what I can do is lay my paper template on top of the strip, and you see it fits just perfectly no matter which way you lay it down on top of the strip. It just fits. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this so that it has a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And it doesn't have to be perfect and beautiful. It can be just quick and dirty because this is all going to be in the seam allowance. And how pretty it looks doesn't make any difference because you don't ever see the inside of the hexie unless, you know, like when it's quilted and the quilt is on the bed. The only time you're going to see it is when it's like this. Okay, so here's what I do. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you that was really important is I use a little plastic coated paper clip to hold my hexie all the way around. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So just indiscriminately, I choose one of the edges and I put the paper clip part way down. And see, I put it just part way down so that the raw edge that you can see there doesn't get stuck underneath the fabric. And then when I go to pull my paper clip out, it grabs the edge of the fabric and pulls everything away. So I think I need to stand to show you this. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I have my piece and I'm going to hold it in my hand like this so that the paper clip is actually off at 2 o'clock. Okay, if the top of this right here is 12 o'clock. Okay, and then I'm going to I always huff inside my thimble so that I can put a little bit of moisture in there so it doesn't go flying off as I stitch. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay the needle down on top of the edge of the hexie, and then I'm going to fold it down so that I get a nice crisp fold on the edge. So see how that looks? Okay, then I'm going to take the needle out and I'm going to start stitching. So I'm going to just take one little stitch right there, and then I'm going to take another little stitch on top of that. So I'm doing 2 basting stitches on top of that little fold right there. See that? Oh, I want to be able to get it so that it's not blurry for you. There we go. There's the little fold right there, and it's a mitered corner. Okay, so then I'm going to turn it clockwise, and now my paper clip is at 4 o'clock. I'm going to pull it out. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. Sorry. I'm just going to hold it there. Okay, then I'm going to put the needle back down along the edge of my paper, and I'm going to fold it over so that it looks like that. And then I'm going to take 2 more stitches and baste that in place. And so I don't clip in between the bastings. So my basting is right here. The thread is running down this way to the next little join that I'm going to baste down here. Okay? So I just do that 2 times because that's all you need to do. And then I'm going to turn it clockwise again, and now the paper clip is at 6 o'clock, and I'm going to put my needle in and fold it down. And if you have any questions, I will answer your questions on Facebook where this is being posted, which is on Annie Smith's Quilting Stash Facebook page. Okay, because I can't see what the questions are or what the comments are. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it clockwise again, and now the paper clip is at 7 o'clock. And so I'm just going to lay the needle on top and then fold it down to take 2 more little basting stitches. And so I'm just basting through the fabric. I'm not piercing the paper at all. Okay. Okay. Oh. And so I love it when funny little things happen when you're doing a demo on it. But so I got a knot right here. And so if that happens, what I usually do is I just take some basting stitches, and then whatever thread is knotted up and is hanging out here, I just put it in the center of the hexie, and it just stays there until I'm done sewing it. Okay, so let's see. So now I've turned it clockwise one more time, and now it's at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to fold this in place, and then I'm going to take 2 stitches. Oh, there's that little knot again. Okay, so I'll show you then what it is that I end up doing. See, that knot is just kind of stuck there and it wants to stay there. So I'm just going to let it be there, and it's just going to be a little bit rough looking underneath the side, on the underside of the hexie, but it doesn't make any difference because you won't ever see that. And then now I'm back to the paper clip being at 12 o'clock. And so I'm going to take the paper clip out. I'm going to push down this seam allowance, and I'm going to just put the needle underneath. And so when I put the needle at the edge of the paper, like I have been, it keeps my fabric from being bigger when I turn it over, and it just creates a nice smooth edge that will allow me to make that fabric turn the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so all of my folds are going in the same direction on this last one. And so I take a couple stitches, and then I'm just gonna snip my thread. And so this is what the hexie looks like on this side, and this is what it looks like on this side. And I think you can see where each of those 2 little basting stitches just go all the way around, and the thread travels all the way around, so that I can have everything nice and basted. And there's no need really even to press this with an iron. You don't need to do that at all. I usually wait until my entire flower is completely done, and then I press it with the paper in it and all. But I will show you how to remove the paper when we're done. Okay, so now the next thing is I want to show you how I stitched 2 of these pieces together. And let's see, I want to, let's see, I'm going to use the one that I just made and one of the centers. And so I need to remake my knot because it was the thing that got tied up and knotted as I went around before. Okay. Okay, so this is the method. So what I'm going to teach you next is how I stitch it so that none of my stitches show on the top in my seam allowances. That is the one little nit that I just absolutely cannot stand with English paper piecing, is that you can see every stitch that everybody's made. I want my stitches to be hidden so that it kind of looks like it was stitched together by magic, you know, this is the trick, okay? So what I'm going to do is take my 2 hexies, so this is the center and this is the first one that I'm going to add on. And so I'm going to put these right sides together. And the cool thing about this is that I don't need any clip. I don't need to use the paper clip or one of those little red wonder clips that we use to put on the edge of our bindings. I'm just going to stitch this together. And the thing about this is I'm using white thread, and I'm using a single white thread. You can see that extra piece dangling. And so ideally, when I'm done with this, you should be able to see the stitches, but you're not going to be able to see the stitches because they're going to be hidden. And it's in the way that I actually do the stitching, okay? So what I am going to do is I'm going to try to do this so that I can see it and you can see it, okay? So I'm going to take my first stitch and I'm going to do it on the right edge of these to join them up. And you can see that my needle is straight through this, okay? And so that's what you want to do, and you just want to get like the razor's edge of the fabric. You don't want to pierce the paper, you just want to be piercing the fabric when you do this, okay? So I'm going to pull this all the way through, and then I'm going to go ahead and then take another stitch along this edge in the exact same place that I just stitched. And now I want you to watch what I'm doing, okay? I'm going to pull this and I'm going to stick my finger in there so that my knot doesn't close all the way up, okay? And so when I take my stitches to sew them together, I go away from me to take the stitch, and then I have this little loop, and I'm going to pass the needle through the loop from right to left. Now, the way that you pass it through the loop is really, really important, because if you pass it through from left to right, you end up not having a closed stitch as tightly as you do when you pass it from right to left. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so I'm going to go ahead and stitch so that you can see how I do this. And so I want to make sure that the needle pierces through both sides of my fabric, okay? And so what happens when you pass the needle through from right to left is that it allows all of your stitches to ride up on the wrong side of your fabrics instead of going down into the fabric itself. Okay, and so this takes a minute to do. So I'm going to show you one more time. So, oh, wait a minute. Now I'm going to show you one more time. Okay, so in order to do this, I have the needle in the fabric that's closest to me, and then I'm going to pass it through to the center hexie. So you can see that the eye of the needle is here and the point of the needle is down here. So I'm actually putting it in away from me. Then I go here, make a loop, and then I'm going to pass the needle through the loop from from right to left, you know, my other left. And so you can see, I think, where my stitches are, but can you see that they are riding on top of those fabrics? That's exactly what happens. And so I'm going to show you this one that I already have done. Okay, here is how it goes together, and if you look real close, you might be able to see the stitches, but I don't think you can. But when I turn it over, you can see where all of the stitches are right here, and that they ride on top of my join, and that's why you can't ever see the stitches from the right hand side of the hexies that you're putting together. Okay, so now I want to show you. So what you do is, well, hold on. Okay, so how you put these together is just add a hexagon at each side of the hexie, and then the center hexie. Sorry about that. Okay, so add a hexagon to each side of the center hexie, and there are 6 sides to it. And then you go back and you stitch all of these lines from the back. And then in order to put the outside edge on, you just take a hexie, fit it into this little groove right here, and you can actually stitch continuously. You can stitch here, here, and then out to here. And then it will have everything be nice and firm. And then you just turn it around and turn it around and turn it around until you have everything stitched just like this one. Okay, so now in order to take the paper out, I use, and here's where gluing it instead of hand basting it will cause a problem for you, because all of the fabric would be adhered to the paper, and so you'd have to peel it away or tear it away. So what I do is I just go in here with the point of my scissors, and look at how easily that pops out. Isn't that fantastic? And the thing is that you're going to see little nicks on the edge of your hexie paper. But the great part about it is you can press these with a dry iron and they will be just as flat as one of the brand new ones out of the package. And you can reuse these over and over and over and over again. And the thing is that with this one, I hope you can see there are little folds right here, because as you add the additional hexies, you can actually, so if I was going to sew these two together right here, what I do is I just fold this in half like this, so that I can go in and I can stitch that hexie seam together right there. And it doesn't make any difference that these are folded. These come back. See how there are little folds in them that you can see? They're going to be nice and flat. And again, you can use them over and over again. Now, when I make these flowers, I take out the center and then I take out the first row, but I will leave all of the patterns inside this outer row of hexies, because you need the stiffness and the stability in order to stitch them together. Because here's what I'm going to do with mine that I hope you'll be able to see. These are all empty spaces right here, but that's exactly the pattern that I want to make with my English paper piecing quilt. This is a traditional grandmother's flower garden, and it's cool because these, if I twisted it just a little bit, these points right here would just fit right in right here. And so it goes together like puzzle pieces. But I really, because the fabric is so busy, I really want to be able to have the diamonds and the half diamonds in another fabric that's going to be able to have all of that separation in between each of the flowers and just make it look so much prettier. So, okay, so that is that. Here is the jelly roll that I got. So remember, I started this 5 years ago when my grandson was born. He is now 5 years old. And so I thought, oh, it's going to take me about 10 years to do this. Well, I have 24 of these made. I have to make 143. So it might take me longer than 10 years, because this is a project that I pick up and put down. And if I worked on it every night when I sat down to watch TV, then I'd probably get it done a lot faster. But I really enjoy working on this project when I want to work on it. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this comes together. So I'm going to put, well, I'm not going to put the glue in because I don't use glue, but I'm going to put all of my pieces that I use, all of my notions, in my little box right here. And then, of course, the ones that I'm partially working on, I'm going to put in here too. Here's another one that I started to work on a little while ago. And all of these, well, I think this one seam is sewn right here, but all of these are all attached, but I still have to sew these seams before I add the outside edge. And so I'm going to put that in the top of my box too. And then I can snap this shut. And I want to say that these little boxes are maybe about $6. But let me tell you, when I found these, I just thought these are the most fantastic things, because see, I have all of my other colors ready to go. So in these 3 boxes, I have everything I need, including all of the things that I need to travel with to work on the project. And then also, because I was traveling, I was in North Carolina at the time, I found this cool little bag at a Southern Season. So all of you who are watching from North Carolina, hey, I love North Carolina. That's where my son and his wife live. Okay, so one fits in here perfectly. You can see that the size is just perfect. Okay, And then, whoops, I forgot to snap that one. And then the other one. And then my third one fits right in the middle. So, here is my English paper piecing project, all in one bag. And so whether I'm sitting by the TV or whether I'm grabbing it to take this to work on an airplane, doesn't make any difference. I have everything I need in this bag. But then also I have I don't carry the ones that I've already stitched with me. When I travel, I keep them home here safe in another plastic project box. But the ones that still have a little bit of stitching to do, like I have a little stack of these that all of the outside hexes still need to be stitched, I can just put those in the top of my bag and take it along with me. And so it was perfect to be able to find a bag that fit those little Sistema boxes all at the same time. So anyway, the paper pieces can be found either at your local quilt shop or online. And this is the information for them. They're out of Paducah, and all you need to do is go to paperpieces.com and find them. You can find any size that you want, but I just really like the size of how this turns out. It actually turns out to be 9 inches from edge to edge. And so anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. And again, I'll take a look at any comments or questions that you have. Please let me know how you liked the video. Also, if you have any questions for me, I'd love to answer them for you. And so I can be found on Facebook at Annie Smith QS. That's the handle that will take you right into Annie Smith's Quilting Stash. I'm also on Instagram at Annie Smith QS, and I post things there too. But I also have a website, which is anniesmith.net. And if you go to anniesmith.com, she's a lovely Scottish jeweler who got that before I ever did. She makes beautiful jewelry. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. And, you know, I think we're going to do this again. And so please don't forget that at the top of the hour, Tammy Silvers is going to present a tip, and then tomorrow, starting at noon until 8 o'clock Eastern time, there will also be another group of wonderful, talented quilters that are going to share some really cool tips with you. And the fun thing is that our videos all get posted up to the areas on Facebook. And so if you want to watch it again or tell a friend about it, you're more than welcome to do that. So anyway, happy quilting, y'all.